Good morning, good morning. Hello Mitch, hello Disco Magma, thank you very much for tuning in. Unfortunately, I didn't get time to do a proper review of these, and as you can imagine, both books take quite a while to go through. There's a lot of information in these. There is already a battle report out. It has just gone live on YouTube, and I've just realised I need to update that sub goal because for some reason resubs don't carry over for some reason, which is crazy, but it is what it is. So I hope everybody is very well. Thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, me and Carl managed to get a game in with these two codexes, and there was a lot going on. Do I collect either of these two? No, Mitch. These two are two of the armies I actually don't have. So Bryn very kindly lent me his Thousand Suns as he's not really into playing 40k at the moment, and Carl came round with his Thousand Suns. So yeah, yeah, that was a thing, definitely. So I obviously took over the Thousand Suns, and Carl had a go at the Grey Knights. Yeah, so which one do you guys want to start with? Do you want to start with Grey Knights or Thousand Suns? There's a lot of interesting stuff in both of these. Carl commented that he was surprised at how many physical Marines he got purely because the points had gone down. Purely because the points had gone down. I'm just going to update this. Twitch, August, subs. Goal amount of 20, starting amount now 3, 08, 31, 2021, because it's a silly American thing. I'm actually forgetting some time in with both. Fair enough, fair enough. So I'm going to go with Thousand Suns first then, because that is the first, that's the army that I ended up using. And boy, this is good, right? Ever hopeful Grey Knights don't suck. There's nerfs and buffs. Nerfs and buffs. So, diving straight in, right? Their allegiance abilities. Okay? So, Brotherhood of Sorcerers is your allegiance ability. You get +1 to cast, just across the board, right? Which is phenomenal. It's so good. I'm just going to try and change the focus on this a little bit. Where's the focus? I think that should be the best. So you get +1 to psychic tests, which is phenomenal, and Arcana, Astartes, and Zangor units get a 5+ invulnerable save. So those are your two allegiance abilities. There is a slight extra one that comes a little bit later on. I don't know why they didn't put it here, which is, it's crazy that they didn't, but it is what it is. Legion Command. If your army is Battleforged, includes a Thousand Suns detachment. You can upgrade any of them to the following Thousand Sun models in your army: Exalted Sorcerer, Sorcerer and Terminator Armor, Aspiring Sorcerer, Scarab Cult Terminator, and these are these are the buffs that you can get here. There's a multitude of things. One of them lets you get a model back. You can attempt to manifest 1 extra psychic power in your psychic phase. It's 25 points, but it's just 1 extra power. Like, 1 extra is not amazing. It's the fact that you want to know an extra power, not necessarily cast an extra one. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's good. Do I need a degree in astrophysics to be able to use the books? Yes, because everything is all over the place. But no, otherwise no. You need to know your psychic powers. You need to know your buffs, because there's a lot of psychic powers. The core of the Thousand Sun book is not that hard. It's nowhere near the difficulty of Admech or Drukhari. Nowhere near it. Mere Servants kind of expected this, so you can only take 1 unit of cultists per Scarab Cult Terminator, or Rubric Marines in your whole army, and you can only take 1 unit of Zangor for each unit. Kind of fair enough. Like, Death Guard got it with Poxwalkers and Cultists, so kind of expect that. Jealous Tyrant, you can only have 1 Demon Prince. Again, people, you know, people who are familiar with the Death Guard book, it's no different really. The cults, there's 9 cults. Now, obviously, in the limited time that I had to read these, some of the abilities are cool, some are not. So, a Psychic Power in 1 might be great, but the Relic or Warlord trait might be a bit naff. The one that there was 2 that I liked, and I can't remember what the second one was, but the first one that I actually used was Cult of Duplicity. Because of the Psychic Power, basically you can pick a unit up and teleport it, and replace it 9 inches away from enemy units. Fantastic. Like, that is always really good in games of 9th edition. The Relic was get a command point on a 4+, but if you roll a 1, then your opponent gets it. Warlord trait, I completely forgot to use mine. At the start of the first battle round, before the first turn begins, select D3 units and you can remove them and redeploy them. I forgot to use that, but yeah. So that's Cult of Duplicity, but Cult of Time, you can get models back with all of its wounds. If you're running Terminators, like, that's really good. The Hourglass of Manat. The first time the bearer is destroyed, keep it to one side at the end of the current phase and set it back up with D3 wounds remaining. Cult of Time was the one I actually thought about going. Hexfire is already gone. I don't know what Hexfire was much because I didn't really use these guys in 8th. How do Thousand Suns feel? Same power level as Death Guard, or do I have to worry to fight against them? I just want to know when I fight my bet. So, I think Squads of Marines is very good. Dark Lord Caliban, thank you very much for the follow. Sold out the box set in less than 5 minutes. I think Squads of Rubrics are very good. You can increase the strength. I ran a squad of 9 Flamers. It didn't do what I needed to do because I shot at Terminators. But strength 5 Flamers, because of a spell that they can get access to, was really good. I genuinely think multiple units of Marines is the way you want to go. Buffed by Psykers, absolutely the way to go. So I ran Ahriman, I ran an Exalted Sorcerer, and I ran the Infernal Master. Unfortunately, I couldn't roll a 3+ to save my life on the Infernal Master. The Infernal Master is essentially a chaplain with 1 cast, for those that know Space Marines. So he is pretty decent, and he's only 90 points as well. Some of the stratagems are pretty cool. Ensorcelled Infusion for 1 CP allows a vehicle to gain an extra 1 AP on its weapons if it's within 6 of a sorcerer. So the Mauler Fiend I used was a lot more useful, and the Predator I used was a lot more useful. Not saying the Predators and Mauler Fiends are the way to go, but that's what Bryn had. That's what I ended up using, and that stratagem really helped. Unwavering Phalanx is expensive at 3 CP for a full squad, but you can reduce the damage characteristic by 1. So, because all his dust is still the same, right? If you hit with 2 damage weapons, you can suddenly reduce the damage to 1, which means you then get all his dust as well. So, you know, like, does anyone even use Hellblasters anymore? But like Hellblasters, Power Swords and stuff, I think are 2 damage now. Like, that's really good, because then you're still getting your +1 AP. +1 armor save, which is fantastic. Wrath of the Wronged is basically Veterans of the Long War, so +1 to wound. Now, I nearly got a combination off with my Marines. So I had a squad of 10 Marines, right, with bolters, and I teleported them across the field, and I wanted to use one of the, I'm forgetting what they're called, Infernal Pacts, which are your prayers. Malefic Maelstrom, right, is add 1 to the strength of that unit's ranged attacks. So suddenly you've got strength 5 bolters, okay? And then when you're shooting Terminators, you want to use Wrath of the Wronged, which gives you an additional +1 to wound. Or rather, it gives you +1 to wound. So suddenly, a squad of 10 Rubric Marines can wound toughness 4 Space Marines on 2s, right? At -2 because of their AP, and you're teleporting them across the board. Or you can deep strike them because there's a stratagem for, I think it was Webware. I can't see it here yet. Infernal Fusillade as well. If you're within half range, you get to make an extra attack. So obviously your bolt guns that I deep struck, I was getting 3 attacks per bolt gun with that. So I had, 9 times 3, 27. I had 27 bolter shots, right? And I cast Facade, which is one of the new spells. It's prescient, it gives you +1 to hit, right? So I had 29 bolter attacks, hitting on 2s. Could have been wounding on 2s, but Carl put a stop to that. And it would have been -2. So honestly, like, the core of this book is so good. It's not that complicated to play a Mitch. The ball ache with this book is I ran 30 Rubric Marines, and I probably would have had 10 Terminators instead of 1 or 2 of the Daemon engines. And I only played 1850 points as well. I really, really do not want paying 40 Terminators and Marines. I just simply don't want to. And I took Zangors as well, which I didn't think they were great. On the subject of Zangors, Inhuman Savagery, I think combat Zangors will be the way to go rather than shooty ones. But the shooty ones can target characters now. But anyway, this one, in the combat phase, you can reroll all hits. That is incredibly useful because their staffs are strength 5, -1, 2 damage. So rerolling all of those hits whilst you've got a shaman nearby as well is pretty decent. It's not bad. It's not bad. Vengeance of Prosperos against Space Wolves, that's like never going to come up. The Great Sorcerer, you can attempt to cast an extra spell. Malignant Pact, use the stratagem in your command phase when an Infernal Master model from your army is unsuccessful in making a pact. Select 1 friendly Thousand Suns infantry or Thousand Suns cavalry unit within 6. The unit suffers 1 mortal wound, but the pact is successful. I needed to have used that, and I didn't. Again, we had the books for like a day when we filmed this Thursday night. That one would have been useful. Absolutely. Because like me, if you can't roll a 3+ to save, it's terrible. Yeah, I have combat ones. I only need 10 more rubrics now. Nice. Morning, Yuki Brown. How's it going? Hey, the pen. How did Thousand Suns fit? Oh, I already saw that. Sorry. So yeah, Warped Regeneration. You can heal D3 wounds. Or you can return 1 model with all of its wounds remaining. Pretty good for Terminators. Even on rubrics, it's decent. Unholy Susurrus. You can swap a psychic power. Biomechanical Mutation, it's basically Armor of Contempt, and I didn't use this on turn 1 when I should have. You can give extra Warlord traits and relics and upgrade sergeants and stuff as you can with most of the books now. Webway Infiltration, that's the one that I was deep striking. You can pay 2 CP to put 1 unit in reserve, 3 CP to put 2 in reserve. So in your opponent's phase, select a character. If they're within 3 of another unit, they simply can't be targeted, even if they're close. Unholy Susurrus looks like a typo that I decided to roll with. What about the Great Man? Has he become good? Magnus, I did look at his rules, right? But not massively in depth because I wasn't using him. But yeah, there's some pretty cool stratagems in here as well. Yeah. Warlord traits I wasn't overly fussed about, right? We'll actually cover Magnus now. So Magnus gets Arrogance of Aeons, okay? You can roll Deny the Witch test. Sorry, you can re-roll Deny the Witch tests taken for this Warlord. If your army is a cabal of sorcerers, this Warlord can benefit from one additional Kabbalistic ritual in your psychic phase. Kabbalistic rituals is something that we'll get to in a few moments. He's got Undying Form. Each time an attack is allocated to this Warlord, subtract 1 from the damage. That's good because Magnus needs it. Otherwise, he just gets shot down. And then he's got Lord of Forbidden Law. Your Warlord knows 1 additional psychic power. If your Warlord is Magnus the Red, it knows all the psychic powers from the disciplines it has access to. Well, do you know why that's a good thing? Because there is a total of 18 psychic powers. Yes, 18 psychic powers. 9 in the discipline of change and 9 in the discipline of vengeance. Wow. Wow. Okay. So, we'll go and look at Magnus now. Because he should be here. There we go. So, he is 450 points. Okay. Strength 8, toughness 7. Okay, so he's not toughness 8 like Morty. 18 wounds, movement 16, and only his attacks and movement degrade. Okay. So, he's equipped with the Blade of Magnus, which will be strength 16, minus 4, 3 damage. Each time the bearer has fought, select one enemy model that lost any wounds as a result of attacks made with this weapon, but that was not destroyed. That model's unit suffers D3 mortal wounds. So he's doing extra damage as well. So he knows Kabbalistic rituals. Again, we'll get to that shortly. He's a Demon Primarch, therefore he must be your Warlord. You can reroll ones whilst you're within range of him. You can pick one unit to reroll all hits whilst within range. He's got a 4+ invulnerable save from Crown of the Crimson King and never suffers perils of the warp. Good. Gaze of Magnus. Each time this model manifests the Smite psychic power, inflict D6 mortal wounds instead of D3, or 3D3 instead of D6 if the result is 11 or more. He's getting +1 to cast anyway from the Allegiance abilities. Then he's got Unearthly Power. You can re-roll psychic tests taken from this model. Each time a psychic test or deny the witch test is taken, add 1 to the result. If this model has 10 or more wounds remaining, add 2 to the result. Add 3 because of your Allegiance a bit, +3 to casting. Which means you only need a 7. Sorry, you need an 8 to get 3d3. And there's additional ways to get +1 to cast as well. This model can attempt to manifest 3 psychic powers in your psychic phase and attempt to deny 3. It knows Smite and 3 psychic powers from the Discipline of Change and or the Discipline of Vengeance. So for 450 points, he's got -1 damage. He's got 3 casts with +3 to cast. He can fight. I mean, I wouldn't chuck him at something that's going to kill him, but like, do you know what I mean? If you've got a knight on like 9 wounds, I wouldn't hesitate to chuck him in. Yeah, he's decent. He's decent. When you consider the psychic powers that's there as well. So Infernal Pacts are prayers, very much like, did it say roll or result for the 3d3? I don't think that makes a difference, does it? If the result of the psychic test is 11 or more, so you're getting your +3. So the Infernal Pacts are basically just your chaplain stuff. I'm forgetting the proper term for it. There's one to dish out mortal wounds. Again, mortal wounds, fires of the abyss. Capering Imps is the target doesn't get the benefit of cover and can't overwatch or set to defend. It used to be 2d6. Did it? Yeah, but you got +3 to cast as well, Mitch. And 2d6, I mean, yeah, you could go 12. But surely on average... No, it might be the same, because an average of 3d3 is 6. So, I think it's more consistent, but on average it's slightly less. Diabolical Savant. Generate 1 additional Cabal point. In your Psychic phase, you can reroll Psychic test taken for the Infernal Master. It's okay, but he's only casting 1. Glimpse of Eternity, you can reroll a single dice, and it doesn't limit you to the command rerolls. As long as it's not related to the mission, okay, you can reroll 1 dice that you have rolled. So, if you're getting those, you know, mortal wounds out, if you do a d6 mortal wounds and you roll a 1, normally with the command reroll, you can't reroll that. This allows you to. So that is quite nice. And then Malefic Maelstrom is +1 to ranged attack weapon strength, which is handy on them bolters. I'll be honest, I glanced at the relics because I was mainly looking at the cult ones, so I haven't gone too in depth into them. Did you see? Yes, he has 3, Mitch, and he can re-roll the denies as well. So he's got +3 to cast with a free re-roll on all of them, and he's 3 denies with re-rolls. So the psychic powers. Oh, we've got a little madam come to visit us. Look. Hello, girlie. So this is Roxy, who we've just adopted. We've had her for 4 days, and as you might be able to see, she's a tripod. Hello, baby. Hello. So she's settling in, but I think Lucy's hoovering downstairs, so she's come up to see me. You gonna lie down? You gonna lie down, baby? Huh? You can't sit on me knee. I'm working. I am. You wanna lie down? Lie down. Lie down. Good girl. Doggy, yeah. She's honestly, she's adorable. She's so well behaved. She doesn't beg when you eat. She's got a little bit of separation anxiety, which is why she's come running up here when Lucy's hoovering. Smithy, how's it going? But yeah, she's a tripod. She had her front leg removed about 4 weeks ago, and we couldn't leave her in the kennels. No way. There we go. You gonna lie down? Oh, you look tired. You look tired. So she's a Staffy Cross as well. Just joined. How's it going, man? Oh, she's now under my feet. So, psychic powers. There's 18 psychic powers to go through, right? Glamour of Zinch is still there. Subtract 1 from the target's hit roll. It lasts during the combat phase. Doombolt does damage to enemy units. It just does 3 mortal wounds. Temporal Manipulation is a blessing. Casting value of 5. Select a 1000 Sun model within 12 and regain D3 lost wounds. So you can heal Magnus as well. Sorting your box of shame. I think I might actually pick this book up. Do you know what, Mitch? Like, I enjoyed playing them to an extent, but I ain't painting all them Rubric Marines. If Bryn wanted to sell me his, I would probably take them. Dogs make everything better. Our 10-month spaniel has helped me and my partner get through the last month. Yeah, like I changed jobs in June, beginning of June. I got a new job, and I'm back in. I'm in the office full time. So Lucy's quite lonely in the house all day, and she's always wanted a dog anyway. So we had to go and rescue one that needed rescuing, didn't we? We had it. Lucy saw her and she was like, I can't leave her in the kennels. Honestly, she's adorable and so well behaved. Their big pet. We've just covered Magnus, Dark Lord. I'll go back over him very briefly shortly, though. Academic Curses reduce the weapon strength, reduce the enemy's ranged weapon strength by 1. That's kind of useful. So it meant that Carl's bolters would have been hurting me on 5s. Or the Vortex Beast. I don't know what it was before. I have looked at it. It looks okay. Pyrrhic Flux, okay? This is the one that I loved on the squad of Marines with all flamers, okay? Select an Arcana or starter's unit within 12 of this Psyker. Until the end of their turn, add 1 to the strength characteristic of all Warp Flamers, Warp Flame Pistols, and Heavy Warp Flamers. Add 1 to Strength 5 Warp Flamers. So, that was really, really nice. On this side, we've got Gears of Fate. Roll 3 dice, and for each 4+, the enemy suffers 1 more wound. It's okay. Twist of Fate. Get rid of your opponent's invulnerable saves. Presage is basically what Prescience was, is +1 to hit with attacks. It's not just ranged weapons though. -1 strength deacon, yeah. Sounds like the Custodes Shadowkeeper strat. -1, yeah. Swelled by the Warp. Add 2 to this model's strength characteristic and 1 to its attack. You can have Magnus swinging at strength 20 with 9 attacks. Like, how good's that? And obviously he has access to all of these because he knows all 18 spells. Temporal Surge is, I can't remember the name of the Chaos one, but it's basically move your unit again. It's only a 6-inch move. It's not move again. It's basically, oh sorry, no, it is make a normal move, but you have to be within 6. Ignore me. It is make another move. It is what it used to be. So some pretty good spells, and like I said, Magnus knows all of them. So learn the 18 spells. It's finally starting Grey Knights with Hexfire. Oh, you're finally starting Grey Knights with Hexfire. Oh, okay. If I was going to pick one of the two, I would absolutely go Thousand Suns, but I've already got Black Legion, World Eaters, and Death Guard, so I don't really... And Lucy would kill me. Plus, at the minute, I'm really, really loving Marvel, guys. And my hobby funds this month did go on buying Marvel, not Warhammer. There's nothing coming out that I'm even interested in, that I'm aware of for the next few weeks. So that's why I went for Marvel. So, let's move on to, there we go, Kabbalistic Rituals. Point, Thousand Suns got Malicious Volleys. Death Guard lost it, which is interesting. So, another mechanic that these guys have is Kabbalistic Rituals. They are a very different way of playing it. They are, and I do want them, but mine just disappeared on the Thousand Suns start. The Start Collecting box, Mitch, or the Start Collecting box is a really good starting point. It's just a shame that it includes Ahriman, because then you end up with 3 Ahrimans if you buy 3 boxes. So Kabbalistic Rituals, okay? So in your Psychic phase, you generate Kabbalistic points based on who is on the table, okay? So Magnus will give you 4. Ahriman, Exalted Sorcerer, and the Thousand Sun Demon Prince gives you 3. A Sorcerer, Infernal Master, or Sorcerer in Terminate Armor gives you 2. Scarab Occult Sorcerer, Zangor Shaman, and Aspirant Sorcerers give you 1. Icon of Flames in Rubric Marine squads give you an additional 1. So, 3 squads of Rubrics will get you 6 points if they're on the board. Obviously, Ahriman and Exalted Sorcerer getting you 3 apiece is savage. And you basically spend those points during your Psychic phase to do one of these 9 things. Now, this is my favourite, Kabbalistic Focus. Use this Kabbalistic ritual after a Psychic test is made for a unit from your army is passed. The Psychic power cannot be denied. Just no, you can't deny that. That is phenomenal. Anyone seen the combat patrols yet? I don't think they've announced them, have they? Are they up on the website? I don't think the combat patrols are available to order, are they? I'm just having a quick look. Pre-orders. No, it's all dice, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, and then just the Codex's dice and cards. No. No idea what's in them. This one's a bit savage. It's 9 Kabbalistic points to get +2 to the psychic test. I don't know why that's 9, but auto no deny is 8. That seems crazy. You can attempt to cast a Witchfire again. 5 points to get +1. For 4 points, you can inflict an additional D3 mortal wounds if you did any mortal wounds to your opponent. They're all very useful, and it's not listed as part of your allegiance ability. It's on a completely different page for some reason. But this is like this. Your +1 to cast, and your 5 invuln is your allegiance ability. Hey Jay, how's it going, man? GW need to bring out codices for World Eaters and Emperor's Children. Totally agree. It wouldn't make any sense to have 2 of the Chaos powers represented, but not the other 2. Completely agree. My World Eaters are sat up there and they're not doing anything. I've got a lot of stuff in it off when I used to run Demon King in 7th edition. Some of it I want to repaint the Black Legion, but at the same time, I'm not touching them until the Codex comes out. The shorter picture in the Codex on the SOW called Combat Patrol, but it's not 100% going to be that. Right, let's have a quick look and see if we can see it. I think it's right at the front. So it looks like it's 20 Zangors, the Infernal Master, and 5 Terminators. If that's what it is, I don't want that. Just because I'm not a fan of Zangors. They're okay with chainswords. They're not bad by any means. They're just... I don't like them. So, yeah. As far as I can see, and as far as I'm aware, I don't think loads of stuff changed with these guys. That's what's in Hexfire. Is it? Oh, wait there, view all. You get a Zangor Shaman in Hexfire as well. And only 10 Zangors. Yeah. So, Demon Prince is in line with what the Death Guard one is. Obviously, he can cast 2 sighted powers and deny 1. Nothing really new there. The Infernal Master, he's got a 4 stave. For all intents and purposes, he's a Space Marine chaplain that can... He's a chaplain and a librarian pushed together. Okay? And he's 90 points. He can only cast and deny 1, but he knows 2 Infernal Pacts, but can only do 1 of them. He's okay. He's not bad. For 90 points, he's a solid HQ choice. I think everybody in like Terminator armor or sorcerers and stuff basically went. They might have went up in wounds. I don't know what the old ones were, but basically, exalted sorcerers have got 5 wounds. A sorcerer has 4 wounds. The sorcerer in Terminator armor has 5, but you can't get an exalted in Terminator armor. Zangors have obviously 2 attacks with a chainsword. Strength 4, you know, it's okay. I'm not a fan of the Zangors. Rubric Marines, however, right? 2 wounds each. 2 attacks each. So very nice. Hopefully this is the way they go with the rest of the Chaos Codex. All is dust. Arcane Automata. Each time a morale test is taken for this unit, it's automatically passed. You can take a Soul Reaper cannon. Okay. And Soul Reaper cannons changed, so they're now heavy 5. strength 6 instead of strength 4. -3, 1 damage. So, pretty decent. Are there any healing spells or other ways to heal? Yes, we covered that with the spells. As long as Magnus can't warp time across the bloody table, I don't care. Yes, he can. Just going back to the sighted powers again. And I'll look at the upgrades as well. Where's the sighted powers gone? The Soul Reaper got even more nasty, yes. Sighted powers. Temporal Surge. Blessing. Has a warp charge of 7. If manifested, select 1,000 Suns. Oh, he can't. He can't. 1,000 Suns Infantry, Cavalry, or Beast unit within 6 of the Psyker. That unit can make a normal move, so Magnus can't. But is Temporal Manipulation, heal D3 wounds. Can you upgrade the Sorcerers? Let me just jump back. So a Sorcerer in Terminator armor can attempt to perform a psychic action in its psychic phase. Change its ballistic skill and weapon skill to 2+ and change its attack to 5. Or re-roll the number of dice when determining mortal wounds. So that's the only way you can upgrade Sorcerers. Magnus got wings. Yeah, he has. He's got movement 16. So, I mean, he's moving, you know, he's probably within charge range. So, yeah, the Soul Reaper got much better. The Icon of Flame gives you 1 additional Kabbalistic point, which is so good. It is 10 points, but when you are suddenly if you've got 3 squads of Rubiks, right, you've suddenly got 6 Kabbalistic points just for that. And then your Exalted Sorcerer puts you to 9. Like, you can generate so many. Hellbrutes are pretty much the same as what they ended up being in the Death Guard book. Obviously, reduced damage by 1. It explodes. And each time a model makes an attack, if it has 7 or fewer wounds, re-roll wound rolls of a 1 for Frenzy. So it's still pretty cool. Scarabocult Terminators. 3 wounds. Very nice. Heavy Warp Flamer is -2. Hellfire Missile Rack, Heavy 2, Strength 8, -2, D3 damage. Infernal Combi Bolters, and this goes back to those stratagems that I was saying about, guys, right? So you use the Infernal Master to make these Strength 5, okay? You then play the Stratagem to get +1 to wound, right? And then you then play the Stratagem to give you an extra attack if you're within half range. So suddenly, if you're within half range with your Terminators, they're putting out 5 dice per Storm Bolter at Strength 5, -2 with +1 to wound. Jay, thank you very much for that, host. Like, Terminators and Rubik Marines are so good in this book. Better than the old Icon of Flame. Yes, much better. It actually has a use now. They've all got 5 invulnerable saves. They all pass morale tests, and they've got all as dust. So they ignore the penalty of firing heavy weapons, and +1 to their save as well. The Sorcerer can attempt to cast 1 spell. So, yeah, pretty decent. Pretty decent. I like it. The Zangor Shaman gives +1 to hit rolls for Bray and Enlightened units within 6. He's got 1 spell. He doesn't do a lot, really. But the Zangor Enlightened, so the Faith Caster Greatbow is changed, okay? Each time you select a target for this weapon, you can ignore the Lookout's rule. Each time an attack is made with this weapon, an unmodified hit roll of a 2 is always successful. Therefore, you don't really need the +1 to hit on them. They don't do mortal wounds anymore either. Guided by Fate. Each time a model in this unit makes an attack, excluding attacks made with the disc blades, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds. So that's pretty decent, but it's not the mortal wounds that it was. This also confers to the Divining Spears, which I mentioned earlier. +1 strength, -1 AP, 2 damage. So, like, I think combat ones are better. And I just think, you know, 6 casts with the Faith Caster Great Bow, or 6 attacks with a squad of 6. It's okay, it's not enough. Still need 1 Rubric Marine that I gave to Ian to finish his commission years ago. Why did you give it to Ian to finish his commission? Did he lose one? Lie down, baby. You gonna go and see Mammy? Yeah, if Mitch sends me the file, I'll print you one, Deacon. The Vortex Beast, I know somebody asked about the pet, right? 14 wounds, 4 up save, 5 invulnerable save because of Dark Glory. So, weapons, he's got Betten Tackled More, Strength 7, -1, 1 damage, but each time you attack with this weapon, you make 3 hit rolls. That's 15 attacks. Strength 7, -1, 1 damage. That's pretty good. But then you've got your Mutilath Claws, which is Strength 8, -2, 3 damage. So he can fight tanks, and he can fight hordes pretty well. However, he regenerates D3 wounds in his command phase, and Warp Explosion, he does D3 mortal wounds if he explodes on a 4+. But Warp Vortex. In your shooting phase, this model can use a number of Vortex powers as specified in its characteristics table above. Each time this model does so, select one of the powers below that has not been used by a friendly model during this turn. So you can cast 2 while he's at full health, but while he's got 4 to 7 wounds remaining, he can only do 1, and if he's under 3, he can't do any. You've got Immaterial Flare. Select an enemy unit within 18 and roll a d6 for each model in that unit, and on a 6 they suffer a mortal wound. Cool. Turbulent Discharge. Determine the closest enemy unit within 18 and visible to this model. Roll 1d6. On a 2 to 4 the unit suffers d3 mortal wounds. On a 5+ it's 3. Maelstrom of Madness. Roll 1d6 for each enemy unit within 9 of this model, and on a 2+ that unit suffers 1 mortal wound. Beam of Unreality. Select one enemy unit with a wounds characteristic of 10 or more within 24 and visible to this model. Then roll 1d6, subtracting 1 from the result if it's an aircraft, and adding 1 to the result if it has the Titanic keyword. So aircrafts will be on 4s, Titanics will be on 2s, everything else is on 3s. The unit suffers d3 mortal wounds, and on a 5+ the unit suffers d6 mortal wounds. He's 145 points. He's okay. He is okay. So we've got Vindicators, Land Raiders, Defilers. Nothing's really any different to what you've seen in the Death Guard book. Forge Fiends are in here because I don't think Death Guards have them. So the Forge Fiend, he's expensive, right? He's 175 points if you run him with 2 Hades autocannons and the Ectoplasma Cannon, right? But he's not bad. He gets a wound back a turn. He's ballistic skill 3+ now. Well, character targeting is God, but depends on opponent. Yeah. So he's ballistic skill 3+. That's what makes the difference here for this guy. The Hades autocannon is range 48, heavy 4, strength 8, -2, 2 damage. You've got 8 shots with that at ballistic skill 3, 2+ if you put Presage on him. And the Ectoplasma Cannon is D3 shots, strength 7, -3, 3 damage, but blast. So not bad. The Mauler Fiend, the Magma Cutters are Assault 2. Lasher Tendrils, you make 6 additional attacks with this weapon, but then you would get the rest of your attacks with the Mauler Fists. He's got 6 attacks. Like, that's not good. BS4 used to make him useless. Yeah, exactly. So the fact he's now BS3 is really good. But yeah, this guy's pretty decent. But each time a charge roll is made for this unit, you can ignore any and all modifiers. Hey Brian, how's it going, man? Hope you're well. Thank you very much for tuning in. So yeah, Mauler Fiends might look okay actually. The problem that I've got is I've got a Khorne one, which was good. The issue with it is I kind of want to put it in the Black Legion because of the Master of Possession. So we'll see. The Hell Turkey. Okay, this one's a little bit different now. About to watch a movie, but saw the new box set. Which movie are you watching, Brian? So the Hell Turkey's Bale Flamer is 2d3, strength 6, -2, 2 damage. Great. It can take Haley's autocannons, still pretty decent. And the claws are strength 7, -2, 2 damage. But if you attack an aircraft, you've got a damage characteristic of 4. Essentially, he's now a flyer. The new Suicide Squad movie is fantastic, Brian. Can we have the Custodes Codex with Valdor, please? Hopefully. So, he's an aircraft, right? But he's an airborne predator. Each time you declare a charge with this model, you can only select aircraft units as the target of that charge. This model can only be chosen as the target of a charge if the unit that making the charge can fly. You can only fight with this model if it is an engagement range of enemy units that can fly, and this model can only make melee attacks against units that can fly. Enemy units can only make melee attacks against the model if they... Okay. But, interestingly enough... Oh, right there. So, yeah, Hoverjet. So, he loses that. He's basically what you know from, like, your Storm Ravens and things like that. So, you would then ignore Hard to Hit. You would ignore Supersonic and Airborne Predator. You change his movement in the command phase and say, right, he's dropping to hover mode. Of course, he gets a wound back every turn, and if he targets a unit that can fly, add 1 to the target's hit roll. So, pretty decent. Pretty decent. All in all, I don't think this is a bad Codex. I think the bulk of the Codex is going to be your core units, your Terminators, your Sorcerers, and Rubrics. Are the Zangors now only good to screen? They're okay. I mean, they can fight, but they're just one-wound demons, really. Now, the Grey Knight Codex I didn't read as much of, because obviously I sent this to Carl and said, Carl, you read this, you need to know what you're doing, I need to read the Thousand Suns book. So, unfortunately, I don't know a lot of what is in here. But I did read some of it. So Brotherhood command is pretty much the same as any Space Marines. You can only include a maximum of 1 Grandmaster model and 1 Brother Captain model in each detachment of your army. Each Grandmaster must be from a different Brotherhood, so you can't take multiples from the same Brotherhood. Each Brother Captain model in your army must be from the same Brotherhood, from a different Brotherhood as well. So Brotherhoods are your Space Marine chapters, essentially. The Aegis. This is your allegiance ability. Now, tell me what you think of this compared to the Thousand Suns. Each time a model in this unit would lose a wound as a result of a mortal wound, roll a d6, and on a 5+, that wound is not lost. If this unit is a Psyker, add 1 to the Deny the Witch tests. That's not great. Did they forget the Purgation Squad datasheet? I don't know. Maybe his Purgation Squads just aren't a thing anymore. Oh God, I hate trifling through all of this crap. Troops. Strike Squad, Apothecary, Ancient, Paladin, Purifier, Paladin, Servitors, Venerable Dread, Dreadnought. Nope, there's the Purgation Squad. Right there. They have points. I don't think they're great though. Losing a wound, ignoring a mortal wound on a DC on a 5+ isn't. It's okay, but like not every army has the facility to put out mortal wounds. If this unit is a psych, I'd want them to deny the witch test. Well, that's great, right? But not every army has. What if you go against Tau or Necrons or Admech? Like that doesn't help you at all. Like. The good news is you're not limited by smite anymore. You haven't got a 12-inch range and you haven't got one mortal wound. That makes it a little bit better. They should be, were highlighted on the community. So another review skipped that page. See, this is why I don't sit and do full book reviews very often. I don't like doing it. I'd rather do a live stream. If I'm available on the Saturday for you guys, to do it this way. I can't absorb 2 books worth of information in 3 days while I'm working as well. It's too much. It's too much. So I sent this to Carl and went, right, you learn that for the battle report. If you guys haven't seen it yet, actually, there is a battle report between these 2 codexes on the YouTube channel right now. So please go and obviously look at that afterwards. If you guys would like access to early content, there is also a battle report available for Patreons and YouTube members as well. You can sign up to become a YouTube member or Patreon for, I think, Patreons are £1 a month to get early access to the battle reports as well. And of course, I really, really do appreciate it. It enables us to keep growing the channel and expanding. So thank you very much. Very understandable. It's nice to have an early view. Yeah, absolutely. I just wish that we got the books like a week early rather than like 3 days. Like these came Wednesday. I sent the Grey Knight one to Carl and I was like, Carl, you need to come around Thursday. He was like, well, can I do Friday? No, because I need to edit it on Friday. So like that's how little time we had with it, and it is a little frustrating, but at the same time I'm grateful that we've got this opportunity as well. Grey Knight's old one was +1 to cast and deny test. They're trying to make army rules more fit to the law. They ignore mortal wound on 5+ shows a resistance to the mob. Yes, it does, Daniel. It just, in game, it's very unuseful, I think. So I haven't looked at all of these brotherhoods. I'm not going to cover all of them, guys. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. If you guys want me to cover one that you see, please mention it and I'll go and cover it. I can't remember the one that Carl used. Give me a second. Silver Blades is what Carl used. And the sighted power for this one was actually pretty decent. So it has a casting value of 5, and if manifested until the start of your next sighted phase, all Storm Bolters, Mastercrafted Storm Bolters, and relics that replace either of these weapons become Pistol 4 and has a range of 12. They now have +1 to their wounds and attacks too, which is nice. Yeah, so they basically just become what they should have been when the Spaceman Codex came out. So this is the one that Carl used, which was pretty useful. I believe all Grey Knight Brotherhood Psychics in the Brotherhood of Psychics Detachment know the relevant Brotherhood Sight Power in addition to any sight powers that they know. So that's cool. You've got a couple of upgrades here. Wisdom of the Prognosticars. So, who can take which one? Gifts of the Prescient as well. So this is like your generic upgrades that you see in like your Space Marine Codex and stuff as well. I don't know if there's a lot to cover there. Stratagems. They kind of split Cyborg ammunition now, which was a bit... Yeah. So, Psychic Onslaught, in your shooting phase, when a Grey Knight Psychic unit from your army is selected to shoot, until the end of the phase, each time a model in that weapon makes a ranged attack with a psi weapon, add 1 to the strength and improve the AP by 1. And then Cyborg Ammunition over here. Use this stratagem in your shooting phase when a Grey Knight unit from your army is selected to shoot. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in that unit makes an attack with a ranged bolt weapon, an unmodified hit roll of a 6 automatically wounds the target and improve the armor penetration characteristic of that by 1. If this unit has 6 or more models, it costs 2 CP instead of 1. So that's what they've kind of done with Cyborg in general, is kind of split the two parts of it. Some other stratagems that Carl used was Mist of Demos, which is -1 to the attack's hit roll, which was pretty decent. I don't think you can use that, because I don't think the Terminators have smoke screen. No, it doesn't. Carl's a naughty boy. True Silver Armor, though, is basically transhuman physiology, which is really, really good. Oh, the dogs are barking next door. Two minutes, guys. Oh, it's the postie. So our dog doesn't mind the postie, but next doors don't like him. So they started barking and set Roxy off. So yeah, there's some pretty cool stratagems in here. Carl didn't really get to utilize all of them. There's a lot of stuff to try and absorb, but let's have a quick look. Oh, the Psychic Disciplines. Vortex of Doom, I don't think this is as brutal as what it used to be. So warp charge value of 7. Select the closest enemy unit within 12 and visible to the Psyker. Each other enemy unit within 3 of the selected units suffers 1 mortal wound, and the selected unit suffers 2d3. If the model manifesting the psychic power has the Psychic Epitome Warlord trait, only the unit you selected suffers the additional mortal wound from that trait, not the extra 3. Empiric Amplification has a warp charge value of 7. If manifested, select 1 enemy unit within 12 invisible. Until the start of your next psychic phase, each time an attack made with a Nemesis or Psi weapon is allocated to that model, add 1 to the damage. Grey Knight Transhuman is 2-3 CP, but the vanilla one is 1-2. It is. I think it's because. Right, the reason why it's that is because you can use it on Terminators. So I think that's probably why. McDurpinton, expensive week for this one. I collect both of them. Easy week for me because I collect neither of them. So yeah. Sanctuary is give yourself a Thorpe invulnerable save rather than +1 to your invulnerable save. So if you've already got a Thorpe, it doesn't help you. Hammerhand is now re-roll wounds instead of +1 to wound. Purifying Flame is a casting value of 5. Select the closest enemy unit within 9. Suffers 3 mortal wounds on a cast value of a 5. If you roll an 11, it's D3 +3, which is fantastic. So, yeah, some pretty cool ones there. First to the Fray changed massively, and I really, really don't like it. But Vanilla Marine Aggressors are almost Terminators. I would argue that they're on par because of the toughness 5, but they've got 1.6. Yeah, you're absolutely right, Jay. Doesn't make sense why. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, first to the fray. Add 1 to advance and charge rolls for this Warlord. If this Warlord has made a charge move this turn, until the end of the turn, each time a friendly Grey Knight's core unit declares a charge against an enemy unit that is within engagement range of this Warlord, add 1 to the charge roll. So you've got to charge the same unit that your Warlord charged to get +1. That's silly. That's really silly. So, yeah. Lawmaster. Page 4. Oh, Lawmaster's page 48. So Voldus must be locked to the Ward Makers. Each time a psychic test is taken for this Warlord, if the result of that test was an unmodified result of an 8, and it was greater than or equal to the power's warp charge value, your opponent cannot attempt to deny. That's really good. That's really good. Purifiers seem good now. Castle and Crow got anything new except his model. Castle and Crow's really good. Castle and Crow has Hammer of Righteousness. Each time this Warlord makes a melee attack, if it made a charge move, was charged or performed a heroic intervention, add 1 to his wound roll. He swings at strength 5, okay, -3, 2 damage with 5 attacks. So, each time an attack is made with this weapon, a modified wound roll of a 6 inflicts D3 in addition to normal damage. So he's got 5 attacks, right? It's strength 5 +1 to wound, -3, 2 damage, okay? However, if this model is destroyed in the fight phase, do not remove this model from play. It can fight after the attack. Attacking model's unit has finished making its attacks. If you are using this ability after resolving this model attacks, then it is removed. So you get to fight anyway. Okay? He's got 4 invulnerable save. He's got Cleansing Flame. Each time this unit attempts to manifest Purifying Flame, add 1 to the attempt psychic test. Purifying Flame, if you rolled an 11 or more, does D3 +3 mortal wounds, remember, so he only needs a 10 to do it. He's got Martial Superiority. At the start of the fight phase, if this character is within engagement range of an enemy character, it can fight first. Honor of Death. This model is eligible to perform heroic intervention if it is within 6 horizontally and 5 vertically instead of 3 and 5. Each time this model makes a heroic intervention move, so long as it ends its move closer to the closest enemy unit or within engagement range of an enemy character, it can move up to 6 inches. Do you know how many points he is? He's 90 points. 90 points. And he's got a 2-up save and 5 wounds. Is Drago still there? Kaldor Drago, there you go. So the Titan Sword is strength 8, -4, 3 damage. Wow. First time I have seen a written 3+ invulnerable save on anybody. Even Araman doesn't get a 3-up invulnerable save now. So that's interesting, because nobody usually gets a 3-up invulnerable. Nobody gets better than a 4-up invulnerable save. Drukari, Manolia Kitkat, thank you very much for that follow. At least he's not a Lord of War anymore. No, that's true. Most models won't have better than a 4-up invulnerable save. The exception being the Drukari Archon has a 2-up invulnerable until you fail it. Makari has a 2-up invulnerable as well, but it's Makari, right? He's not hard to hurt, is he? You just got to get him rolling those ones. Supreme Grandmaster. No, he doesn't have the Supreme Command keyword, so that's odd. He should have the Supreme Command. No, he doesn't. He's got Supreme Grand Master. He can attempt to cast 2 and deny 2 and knows 3. He can pick a... See, he's a chapter master, right? Because he can pick a unit to reroll hits. I think he should have the Supreme Command keyword, you know. If he's a Supreme Grand Master, he's a chapter master. He should have a Supreme Command. What I don't like is this. Like, putting no pictures here. Like, that's annoying. So the Grandmaster in Dread Knight armor, his weapon skill doesn't degrade, but his ballistic skill does. And he also reduces his number of attacks. But the weapon's got a lot better. So the Gatling Silencer is now heavy 12, strength 5, -1, 1 damage. Heavy Psy Cannon, heavy 6, strength 8, -2, 2 damage. GW being very stingy with Supreme Commanders. There shouldn't be though, Jay, right? Because every army has one. Every army has one, or will have one. Magnus, fair enough. Dante, right? I don't think Deathwatch is Watchmaster. Is the Deathwatch Watchmaster Supreme Commander? I can't remember. Call, Gazgul, Shadow Sun. But he's stuck in the warp, right? Or is that retcon? I don't know. I don't read the things. It's an old failcast model. Don't want to pollute the book with its filth. Yeah, so Grandmasters give reroll 1s. He can only attempt to cast 1. Fine. We've got Stern in there as well. And Champions. And the Librarians can attempt to cast 2. Interestingly enough, the Nemesis Warden stave doesn't give you the +1 to your invulnerable save anymore. That's actually a stratagem. Drago just appears, so wouldn't necessarily be in command until he actually... right, okay. So essentially you can't draft him until he... But still, that's an annoyance from a game perspective, isn't it? You've got a Brotherhood Tech Marine, Chaplain. Terminator squads have got 3 wounds and 3 attacks base. What's interesting is they've put none of the weapons in here. Dante is in charge of an entire sector, but somehow... Dante is not Supreme Commander. What? I could have sworn he has the Supreme Command keyword. No, he won't, because he's a Chapter Master. Gulliman has it, that's why. That's why Drago doesn't have it then, because he's a Chapter Master. Yeah, that makes sense now. Yeah, because if you have 2 Space Marine factions fighting, necessarily neither of the Chapter Masters are in charge. It would be Gilliman that's above them. So, yeah, I kind of get that now. So, this is where it's annoying. Look, Stormbolter and Force Sword, that's it. Doesn't have the falchions, doesn't have the halberds. Falchions aren't that great anymore, right? So, I'll have to flip to the back here. So, Nemesis Falchion, Strength User, -2, 1 damage, you get 1 extra attack. So they're not as good as Power Swords. Whereas Power Swords are +1, -3, 2 damage. So you have to be basically, Primarch level. So Call is obviously, he built Space Marines, so he's a Supreme Commander. Gazgul will literally command every single orc, and every orc would bow to him. Not literally bow to him, but you know what I mean. And then Shadow Sun, you can't really get any higher. I know Farsight, I know, but you know what I mean. So yeah, Terminators have just got an extra attack and wound built into them now, which is pretty cool. And Halberds, Nemesis Force, Halberd, +2 strength, so strength 6, -2, 2 damage. Thing is though, would you take swords or halberds? Because strength 5 or 6, yeah. That Sister of in the gold armor, is that a Grandmaster? Not a Grandmaster, a Supreme Commander. You got your Strike Squad as well with 4 swords, halberds, or falchions. 3 attacks base, so 4 with the falchions, 2 wounds apiece as well, movement 6. You've got your Apothecary and your Ancient. Paladin squads, weapon skill 2+. High Lord, so I would say, so fair enough. You've got Purifier squads in there as well. Which are the jump... Are Purifiers the guys with the jump packs? No, they're elites. You got your Dreadnoughts. There you go, Interceptor squad. So these lost the jump ability, okay? They've got personal teleporters. Each time this unit makes a normal move, advances or falls back, models in this unit can be moved across other models and their bases as if they were not there, and they can be moved within engagement range of enemies. In addition, any vertical distance up or down that they make as part of the move is ignored. However, these models cannot finish this move either on top of another model or its base or within engagement range. So basically they just move 12, but they don't have fly. One thing that was an annoyance, right, is all of these squads have a locked psychic power. You can't choose it for them. So the Paladins, not Paladins. Paladins are different. So Strike Squad. This unit can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power in your psychic phase and attempt to deny 1 in your opponent's. It knows Smite and Hammer Hand. Terminators know Smite and Hammer Hand specifically. So you can't choose their powers. Paladins, it looks as though you can choose though. Can attempt to manifest 1 psychic power. It knows Smite and 2 psychic powers from the Sanctic Discipline. So yeah, Paladins you can actually choose. The Inceptor squad knows Ethereal Castigation, so it's stuck with that. The Purgation squad knows Astral Aim. Nemesis Dread Knights are core. How good's that? How good is that, man? And they've got 13 wounds. I think they only had 12 before, so they've got 13 wounds now, which is pretty tasty. And I think access to the Stormhawk and Storm Talon previously. So, yeah. That's the Thousand Sun and Grey Knight Codexes, folks. I really like the Thousand Sun one, if I'm honest. Like, I really like it. So I'm probably going to be back later on today, doing some painting and hobby hangouts and stuff. So yeah, make sure to come and tune in. If you haven't seen the what's it called? The battle report over on YouTube now. There's a battle report out. How are Dread Knights caught Admech lost core chickens? I don't know. I don't know, Jay. I really don't know. Love my Dread Knights. I do believe some squads always had predetermined psychics. No surprise there. It might, because Dread Knights are pretty decent. But at the same time, they are just bigger Dreadnoughts, so I don't know. They're basically the Grey Knight Redemptors, aren't they? That's the thing. They're basically Grey Knight Redemptors. So yeah, if you guys are able to do so, it would be fantastic if you could support us on Patreon or by becoming a YouTube member to get early access to battle reports. What I do have, though, is a little sneak peek of what is already available. There we go. This is already available for Patreons and YouTube members now. Eldari versus Necrons. And at some point over the weekend, there will also be Flesh Eaters versus Slaves to Darkness, Age of Sigmar. And I'm going to try and get a game of Marvel filmed with Lucy this weekend as well. Hopefully that will be up sort of Monday, Tuesday. So if you guys are able to do so, supporting us via Patreon or by becoming a YouTube member would be massively, massively appreciated. Even subscribing here on Twitch. If you've got Amazon Prime, you can subscribe for free. It doesn't cost you. But yeah, I'm quite excited to see if these shake things up in the meta a little bit. I think Thousand Suns possibly. Grey Knights, I don't know. You do get a lot of Marines for your points, you really do. But we'll just have to see how they do. But yeah, if anybody has any questions or anything, please feel free to ask them. I'll hang around for a little bit to answer any more questions. But those of you guys that are watching us over on YouTube, make sure you please go and give us a follow on Twitch. It's free to follow, much like a subscription here on YouTube. And I tend to stream to Twitch a little bit more and do more hobby hangouts and stuff on Twitch. And Twitch is just a bit more interactive. For example, if Mitch would care to redeem some channel points that aren't actually going to work because I haven't opened gift bot, there's a lot of little like gifts and stuff that you can play over the top of stream and things like that. So yeah, if anybody has any more questions, please please throw them in chat. And I'll do my best to answer them for you. But I should be back later on tonight. Maybe this afternoon. We're going to go and pick some things up for the dog, I think. But we're not leaving her in the house because, like I said, she's only new. She's got a little bit of separation. I can hear her crying because I think Lucy's outside. So, Roxy! Yeah, she's coming up. But yeah, I've enjoyed reading these books. Jay's become a sponsor. Jay, thank you very much, man. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that, dude. If you scroll through my feed, there is the post on there with the Eldar versus Necrons battle report. I will repost it shortly after stream, just so it's at the top of the list as well. But I really appreciate that, Jay. Thank you so much, man. I tried to get battle reports out about a week early, so I'll be editing one this afternoon for Age of Sigmar, and of course there's the 40k one out there, and whatever game I end up playing during the week with whoever ends up turning up, that should be edited by the weekend as well, so you guys get early access to all of those. Thank you very much, guys, for joining me. I really appreciate it, and yeah, well, I look forward to hanging out with you hopefully later on today. So thanks for watching, folks, and we'll see you again very soon.